Hello, friends. It is August 28th, 2017. It's a Monday, and it's time for your weekly video. Still a better value than a 10th round technical knockout. So, going to show you some records. Still working on the pile. As you can see, it's getting very small. I'll probably do maybe just a finish-up video. There's a lot of stuff that's in there that don't necessarily think is video-worthy. Thanks for everybody who commented on the last video, the Star Day Nashville King Records. It was a good time, wasn't it? So I'm just going to show you a quick stack of records here. A lot of folk, country, well, some special stuff thrown in there as normal. So to start, this one was $2. It is the Carter Family, I Walk the Line. A little banged up on the bottom, but still really good record. And you don't really see this one that often, so for $2, I, of course, had to get it. But there's these boots are made for walking on it, which is kind of weird. But what else is on here? I Walk the Line, obviously, is on here as well, too. So the Carter Family, of course, you know, June Carter went on to marry Johnny Cash. Mother Maybelle is on here as well, too. So there's some great tunes. This is the Carter Family stuff. Sometimes it's hard to find, so it's nice to come across it every once in a while. So here's another one. This one was $3, as is. Light marks, but it's a Vanguard Stereo Lab. This is Newport Broadside topical songs at the Newport Folk Festival 1963. So you have Dylan and Pete Seeger, Joan Baez and Bob Dylan. Phil Oakes is on here, Peter Lafarge, Tom Paxton. So there's some great tunes on here that, you know, historical sort of thing, you know, a couple of years before Dylan would go electric. But nonetheless, this is probably captures the folk music. 62 was when Dylan's first album came out, so he was kind of getting a little bit of traction here. So, you know, it seemed fun, so why not, right? So some psych music. This is on the Evolution label, which, you know, sometimes their stuff's kind of weird. I think the only other band that's on here may be the Lighthouse, I want to say. This is Steel River, Weighing Heavy, and it kind of sounds like it's like kind of real the heavy, you know, organ boogie kind of music. I know sometimes this is that weird part of psychedelic music where things kind of start getting either went the horn rock direction or you sort of went the boogie sludge rock, you know, like Cactus and, you know, Vanilla Fudge and things like that, what they were doing in the, you know, the late 70s and things like that. So this is still a pretty cool one. This was only $1, so, you know, I think I have a copy of this already. Actually, I know I have a copy of it, and it has some writing on it, so I'll probably be sending that via the post office here in a few days to some folks. Or just one folk, I guess. So this was pretty cool. This is like super clean, original, with the little spokes, Electra, Golden Apples of the Sun, Judy Collins. This was a fantastic copy of this. I don't think I've seen a copy of this, you know, so clean before. So this was $3 for this. So this particular album is actually this is her follow-up to A Made of Constant Sorrow. So, but still very cool. I don't think I've ever found a copy in this good shape. So some great early Judy Collins stuff, you know, before Both Sides Now and all that. So this is more so, you know, still doing the traditional folk tunes. Very cool. It's a great record. Speaking of Tom Paxton, another Elektra artist, I believe this is his third album. This was just on Gold Elektra. This is called Outward Bound, which, you know, his stuff is kind of, sometimes it's hard to sort of figure out where you kind of want to put him in, you know, but this was in Shrink and all that, and it was a very, very clean copy, so good stuff from Tom Paxton. So a little more folk stuff. This is sort of like the mountain dulcimer. Jean Ritchie, who's usually known as the mother of folk music. She did some albums with Doc Watson. This is like way into her discography. I mean, she was putting out stuff in the early 50s. This is 1966, I believe, 65 or 66. So Warner Brothers, 1592. So fun stuff for you there. Here's another one that was kind of cool. I haven't had this one, but this was just $1 for this one. Buddy Miles, Electric Church. So he has Jim McCarty, who was with the Detroit Wheels. Dwayne Hitchings on organ, who he wrote "If You Think I'm Sexy" with Rod Stewart, and he was also in Alice Cooper. So this is pretty cool. It's produced by Jimi Hendrix. One half of it is, at least. So Buddy Miles had a very interesting career. Definitely some moments of let his sort of demons come out, but he was in the Electric Flag, and really he was on Band of Gypsies. He plays drums on Band of Gypsies, but he really didn't. After 1970, his career just kind of went to pretty much nothing. So there you be. So the next three, I really don't have like a big zinger to finish this one up, but this is cool nonetheless. So if you are like a Scott Walker fan, like the Walker brothers, I mean, obviously were, they kind of speak for themselves. Scott Walker sort of went on and pursued a solo career. His music is not something that I would say everybody can just enjoy. It is something where he has that artist thing going, where he tries to move things forward. But he's really obsessed with Jacques Brel, Jacques Brel was this French singer who had these very elaborate kind of orchestrated tunes, the orchestra in the background and things like that. So he's a pop singer, but this was $1.50. I mean, it's on Vanguard, but these are just great. These are just fantastic listens. This was just super clean. I couldn't believe, again, it's something that's, it takes the right person to pick this up, but just really cool. So if you just basically, I mean, Scott Walker did an album where he just did Jacques Brel songs. So it has that vibe. Obviously, it's in French. So if you don't understand, French, it's, it may fall on deaf ears, if you will. But so that was this one for $1.50. I got this one for $3, just another one. This is like, it's all his early stuff. So this is like, I think it's like a repress of like one of his albums that came out in 1955. So, again, I can't pass this kind of stuff up because it's just great music. And then this one was, I think, an album from '61. So I want to buy Jacques Brel, $3 for that. So very cool. I wanted to show this. So this is the Voges, probably most known for 5 O'Clock World. I mean, they were from Pittsburgh suburb. So again, my perspective on it might be a little bit different than yours. But this is one that's on Pickwick, and like, man, I hate Pickwick stuff, but I had to pick this up. It's pretty much none of the hits, which is weird. And it's just stuff from their first and second album, so kind of the deep cuts, I guess you could say. Lover's Concerto. So, it's just interesting stuff. I mean, I have the first 2 albums, so I don't really know why I bought it, but it was one of those things, it's like, sometimes when you're like looking on your phone trying to see what exactly you're purchasing, sometimes it's just best just to pay the $1 and find out later. So that was cool. I mean, it's gonna have a welcome place in my collection. This was $3, and I couldn't believe it because I know this is sort of a pretty sought after album. This is Tencc. This is actually their first album. So the interesting story about Tencc, if you pretty much with like Buddha Records, they recorded a lot of those, the cats and castanets, flying, singing circus kind of things, whatever. Basically Godley and Cream. So they sort of, once they decided the money that they made from those albums, or those singles, I guess you could say, they sort of put a proper studio together and put this album out. So this is their first album, of course. Rubber Bullets is the jam on this, but this is really hard to find. I mean, like, this is like the only copy that I've ever seen of this, and very, very clean shape. So that was a sweet find. So almost at 10 minutes. The last thing I do want to talk about is I did Tompkins Square every couple of weeks. I know I talked about them in a couple of videos back. But one thing that they do is they do this really cool thing where they do a potluck. So you can either Sometimes you just say, hey, it's CDs, or what they'll do is you just give them $20 and then they just pick out 4 CDs for you, or in this case it was 4 LPs. So I did want to show those real quick. So I got, these basically are all sort of that American primitive sort of guitar sound. They try to theme them when they send it. So this is Richard Osborne, Endless. Haven't opened this one up yet, but it looks really cool. And what I've heard online, it seems really sweet. This is Max Oakes, and I forget how to pronounce his name, Harry Tassag, I think. So this is like a super rare record that they did like way back when. And this was sort of the inspiration for the Tompkins Square. One of the guys that works there like couldn't believe that he was able to make contact with these guys. So it's one of those weird stories where you reach out and you find out interesting stuff. So I'm not sure if this is like a reissue of that particular one or just sort of like a newer one. I haven't really looked at it that much, but I guess this was like limited to 500 copies from what I read on their website. So right up my alley. This one was cool. Charlie Lovin, live at Shake It Records. So that was something that was pretty cool. I thought that was a great picture. So Charlie Lovin, of course, part of the Lovin Brothers. And the last one was Harvey Mandel's Snake Pit. So the two or three of those albums were just some of the most recent ones that they did. Harvey Mandel, of course, this is a great album. But for $5, you can't go wrong. So definitely check out Tompkins Square. Every once in a while they do they'll do the potluck, and you'll get some cool stuff. So we'll see you next week. I think I'll just do a wrap-up video for this, and we'll move on to new stuff. So see you later, and see you on down the trail. Take care.